Think Realty Nation, it's your host, Abhi Golhar. Welcome to the Think Realty podcast. You're listening to this show because you want to know what the crystal ball says about the future and where of real estate and where the opportunities exist today. I'm excited because today I get to interview Erica from RCN Capital. And not only does she have the crystal ball, but she has the crystal ball of crystal balls. My crystal ball is just one, it's like a snow globe. That's generally what it looks like. And I like play with it, do this, and like, yay. I get no future predictions from my snow globe. But Erica has access to all of the data. RCN Capital has been around for a very long time, and they do billions of dollars in loans, originating loans on a yearly basis. They have teams of amazing people looking at data analytics to bring you the information that you need to make smart investing decisions, because that's what you need to do. You're not an idiot, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to the show. And if you are, actually just stop and hit X and go listen to, I don't know, something inspirational like a Tony Robbins. But listen, we're gonna dig deep into analytics here. Before I do that, I need to give a huge shout out to the podcast sponsor for today, Think Multifamily. Whether you're a passive investor looking for passive income or an aspiring syndicator learning to grow big and fast, Think Multifamily is the industry's leading acquisition and education company. They're here to help you invest for your family's future every step of the way. For more information, go to www.thinkmultifamily.com. Erica LaCentra from RCN Capital. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So you've got a crystal ball. The crystal ball of crystal balls. I talked to Jeff, and he said that he shipped the crystal ball to your house. I need to see this crystal ball. Tell me what you got. What is the latest data that RCN Capital has in the private lending space, whether it's opportunities, whether it's what's coming down the pipe in 2022, maybe finishing out this year, Q4 2021. What are all the predictions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a heavy burden to bear, but happy to kind of give some insight into what we're seeing in the marketplace right now. Obviously, single family rental has been kind of the darling of the industry for the past year or so. And we're still seeing really great opportunities in that space. But really going into 2022, what we're seeing right now is a huge boom, particularly in the multifamily space right now. And a lot of that's going to come down to lack of inventory. And just like we saw with COVID, folks kind of migrating out to the suburbs, leaving the cities. What we're seeing right now really is the reverse, and people moving back into major cities, back into major urban areas. And that multifamily kind of volume is really starting to pick up again. Huge opportunities in that space. And that was a space that got hit particularly hard when COVID came around. So it's really nice to be able to see that. I actually have a really good statistic too about multifamily, and just kind of talking about how far it's come this year and kind of projections for 2022 and that particular space. From Mortgage Professional America magazine, they're predicting right now over $420 billion in total multifamily lending for 2022. So wow. For investors that are looking at the next big opportunity, like I said, I know multifamily took a really big hit in 2020 and the beginning of 2021. It is rebounding, and it is rebounding fast. Kind of also in addition to that, what we're seeing is really the rebound of fix and flip as well. So I would say in 2020 and the beginning of 2021, like I said, single family rental was really where the market was driving, and fix and flip kind of, while it was still happening, it just wasn't happening necessarily at the levels we were used to seeing. And again, that's coming down to inventory, cost of actual housing, and really investors having trouble being able to make the ROI that they were used to on flip projects. We're seeing flip coming back in a very, very big way. So that's something to be aware of as we get into 2022 for those folks that maybe had shifted their investment strategy, really started looking more to the single family rental side of things. flipping is making a comeback. And it's been really interesting, even anecdotally, at a lot of the conferences that we've been going to recently, where single family rental was the product that was most requested. And we're starting to get those requests for fix and flip and more details on that program too. So very interesting shift. It's going to be very interesting to see kind of how the balance between those two investment strategies plays out in 2022. But just from what we're seeing, fix and flip might have its year again come next year.
I believe it. I believe it. Like everybody that I've been speaking with is all about this fix and flip train, and I'm still trying to figure out why or even how. Because if I look on the MLS, you have some hedge fund that's backed by some international family money that they're borrowing at 2.5% or almost free, that are paying 105, 110% of ask. And for flippers to compete with that, it makes no sense because you're looking for margin. And where the heck is margin unless you are trying to get like a 2-1, it's 500 square feet, that's currently a shotgun house on like the narrowest, piece of land in Atlanta somewhere, and you're buying that for $300,000, and your margin is pretty slim. Can you maybe talk to where the fix and flip opportunities that you're seeing are? Are they in like a big Atlanta primary market, or would they be more in secondary markets somewhere, say, in the Midwest?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be those secondary, tertiary markets that we're seeing the great flip opportunities. In most of the major primary cities, the price points for houses are really making it challenging for flippers to be able to make that return on investment that they need to get by. So we're seeing a lot, particularly in the Midwest, as you mentioned. Indianapolis right now is so hot in terms of flipping. Memphis, Tennessee, Phoenix, Arizona, Nashville, Tucson, really just kind of getting into the Southwest region, Midwest area. Is primarily where we're seeing those opportunities, where price points for homes are still relatively low. There's good population migration to a lot of those areas too, because it is more affordable. There was still the trend of people moving out of more populated areas because of the pandemic too, which kind of caused a lot of that. So definitely for investors looking for those flip opportunities, probably steer clear of the primary cities and start looking in secondary and tertiary markets for those really great opportunities to make those margins they're looking for.
What are your thoughts on vacation rentals? Is that another area where you're seeing a resurgence in opportunities? And if so, kind of where across the country?
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing great opportunities right now in vacation rentals. And I mean, a lot of that comes down to the fact that people are ready and willing to travel again and want to be able to get in that time and that vacation that they didn't have in 2020, the beginning of 2021. Again, the thing is, we're not seeing a resurgence in vacation rentals in a lot of the areas that are hot vacation destinations. It's really starting to become almost, people are purchasing vacation rentals in places that are closer to major cities, but still outside. So there's a little bit more privacy, a little bit more seclusion. So people are able to have that vacation experience while not necessarily being exposed to, large crowds or being in large cities. So it's really interesting to see where those vacation rental opportunities are popping up, because like I said, you would think it would be like major areas of Florida, but it's not, it's almost every single area outside of a major city is having its kind of boom for vacation rental opportunities right now.
That's a really good point. Like I'm seeing, I live in Atlanta, and the Dahlonega area, which is pretty much North Georgia wine country. I would love to just hang out Airbnb over the weekend, but guess what I can't find? An available Airbnb over the weekend. I'm so frustrated by this. And then, we'll try Asheville, North Carolina. Nope, completely sold out. And I'm like, really? This is ridiculous. But it's not, because of what you're saying. People want their vacations. They want to make up the time they lost in 2020. and hence the opportunity for investors to potentially make a killing in these secondary markets. So we talked about vacation rentals, we talked about new construction, SFR, even a little multifamily. How the heck do I get in early on this competition? Like, I don't want to compete. Like, all I've been doing for the last year and a half or two is looking to my right, looking to my left, and I see 10 investors competing for the exact same properties. What do I do differently?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely highly competitive right now. And obviously, everyone is trying to search for that perfect deal, especially with the limited inventory that we're seeing. So I would say, really, when it comes down to it, for investors to really keep winning in this market, tap into your network, tap into the folks that you have connections with, and be able to start figuring out those off-market scenarios that you can get into. I know it sounds ridiculous, but keep an eye out on kind of the foreclosure trends and when that's really going to start coming around, especially with eviction moratoriums, as well as potentially foreclosures picking up. Get ahead of that. We're not going to see necessarily foreclosure levels or short sales or anything like that in the levels that we saw, in the Great Crash, but there will be smaller waves of opportunity where people will be able to pick up houses for reasonable prices. And the thing is, really monitor those markets where kind of that activity is going and get ahead of the curve is probably your best bet. Like I said, too, tap into your network, basically get your ear to the ground and try and figure out where those opportunities are. Ask around, because like you said, MLS is not the place to find the deals. It's going to be off market is going to be your best bet to be able to find those investment opportunities.
Got it. So what I'm just understanding is off market makes sense. And the best way to do that is to find a coder internationally that can help me create a scraper on all Zillow data so I don't have to pay for it. Got it. Okay. Hey, I just don't want to pay for data, okay? I'm tired. Like, I love House Canary, but I can't, I don't have a 6-figure budget for data, so I've got to figure it out. Erica, we've got to partner on something like this. I mean, I'll get it signed off on by Jeff. That's not a problem. But some kind of scraper somewhere, I got to make it. Everybody talks about, I'm kidding, don't violate any of Zillow's data usage rights or anything like that. But when it comes to off-market data, when it comes to off-market properties, potentially this foreclosure thing, I agree. There are a lot of folks that will say, well, wait for the big real estate crash. It's not going to happen. I mean, with inventory levels so low, do you know what's going to happen with any of these foreclosures? The homeowners will put the properties on the market and they'll, just see you later. They'll be gone. So if you have a beat on with your local community bank or your relationships that you've built with wholesalers that are doing all these, just knocking on doors, that's probably going to be your best bet. So I couldn't agree more. RCN has been a leader in the private lending space for a very long period of time. Are there any loan programs that you're launching the next couple of months that will help support investors on the fix and flip side?
Yeah, so I mean, on the fix and flip side, we've definitely gotten much more aggressive in what we're able to offer. Right now, one of the biggest things is just increased leverages and lower rates for fix and flip investors, particularly both on the single family and multifamily side. We actually just launched some of our most aggressive lending terms for that fix and flip product in the last week. So that's a very exciting thing to be able to promote. In addition to that, as I mentioned, on the vacation rental side of things, getting much more aggressive with that program as well. And the new construction side of things, definitely an area that we're going to see a lot of activity in. So trying to be much more aggressive with our new construction loan program as well. So really exciting things. And as I mentioned, with all of those programs, we actually recently just updated our guidelines within the last week. So for investors that maybe haven't had a chance to pop over to our website recently, all of those details are now available.
Excellent. Well, if you're looking for a loan and you live anywhere USA, check out www.rcncapital.com. Out of all of your cities that you lend in, Erica, which are your top 2 favorites? And it's okay to have favorites. I'm sure there are cities that you're like, hey, I kind of like this city instead of that city. What's the scoop?
I mean, honestly, in terms of the cities I like versus the city where we're seeing the most opportunities right now, Nashville is not only one of my favorite cities in the country, but also just a place where we're just seeing tremendous opportunity for investors. And then in addition to that, I would probably say the DC area. I mean, I love DC and the entire vibe of that. I'm an East Coast girl, but again, another great place for opportunities for investors.
I'm a huge fan of Nashville. I love Nashville. The music scene, the food scene is just amazing. The hot chicken is fantastic. And I'm a foodie. Like I can't, I work out so I can eat. Like that is my motto. Anytime I go to Nashville, all I do is just shovel food in my mouth, and it is the best feeling ever. So next time we'll have to make a trip or something. It'll be fantastic. But
oh heck yeah!
Listen, I appreciate the time. I got a lot of insights here. There are obviously opportunities, whether you're a fix and flip investor, or you're a new construction guy or gal, you're looking at the vacation rental space, multifamily, RCN Capital is the way to go. Get in touch with Erica and her team, and they'll be happy to walk you down all the loan options that they have to partner with you to make you a filthy rich multimillionaire in real estate. Erica, thank you so much. Certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
You got it. We'll see you later. This next segment is brought to you by RCN Capital, a national direct private lender that provides commercial loans for the purchase and refinance of investment property, non-owner occupied residential and commercial properties. RCN focuses on ground-up new construction, short-term fix and flip, and long-term rental financing for real estate investors. Check them out. Go to www.rcncapital.com. All right. When we talk about negotiating with hard money lenders, like RCN, for example, you want to pay attention to a couple of things. In a recent article written by Sam Jackman on thinkrealty.com, he talks about three things. Number one, increasing your down payment. Number two, you can pay a higher rate and lower points. Number three, you can execute faster. These are all good negotiating points for hard money lenders. Whether they're a national lender like RCN or even a local lender, use these three to your benefit. If you increase your down payment, it decreases the overall risk that your lender is taking on you, which would also, conceivably, you could say, hey, I'm putting down 30% instead of 20%, so maybe take that 9.25% interest down to 7.25% or 8%. Use that as a way to negotiate lower rates. Second thing, you can pay a higher rate. So let's say you want to pay 12% interest, maybe have them charge you 1 point origination, or maybe 3/4 point in origination instead of the 2 and 10. 2 points origination, 10% interest. Maybe you can negotiate a little higher interest and have them pay a little, and have you pay a little less in origination. At the end of the day, you paying less money to a lender puts more money in your pocket, right? Like that's just the natural order of things. Negotiation tool number three, if you execute faster, that means your project is done quicker. So instead of a 12-month term, maybe you can negotiate a 6-month term, maybe a combination of a higher down payment, you're executing faster, and you can say, hey, because I'm putting down more money, I can execute in, say, 8 months instead of 12 months. Why don't we structure a deal where it's a point origination and maybe 7.25% interest? That could be kind of interesting. Sam, these are all fantastic ideas. This actually works. But at the end of the day, listen, you want to work with your lender and build a relationship with your lender. This way, you can get a little more creative over time. If it's your first deal, not going to be super creative. Follow the rules, check all the boxes. On deal number 3, 4, and 5, yeah, you can start negotiating a lot more. Think Realty Nation, that's the show. Got to give a huge shout out to the sponsor for today's podcast, Think Multifamily. Whether you're a passive investor looking for passive income, or you are an aspiring syndicator ready to learn how to grow big and fast, Think Multifamily is the industry's leading acquisition and education company. They're here to help you invest for your family's future every step of the way. Check them out, www.thinkmultifamily.com. thinkrealty.com. You got any questions for us? Check us out. Go to thinkrealty.com. You can find me anywhere online at Abhi, and Think Realty Nation. Until next time, happy